So the topic has been how to identify the advanced cancer, what the recent advances is, and I will be sticking very basic to the points so that we carry home message. Uh, we all know why staging is necessary, why cancer staging, especially the lung cancer, because there has been a survival as well as predictive and prognostic changes across with each upstaging or downstaging of it. And you could see that a properly staged cancer uh, has properly staged cancer, that is stage 1A1, has a 5-year survival of more than 92%, and stage 4B has a 5-year survival of 0% when it was initially proposed. And this is how the staging usually we see. As the stage increases, we know the virulence of the cancer increases, and from 5-year 92% survival, it goes back to 0% survival in stage 4A and stage 4B tumors. uh, so first comes the nodal staging. Why the nodal staging is that much important? It marks a very important, for a resident also, and for a clinician, and for the oncologist and the pulmonologist, no matter whoever it is there, it is very important to know these node stations. It is in our basic curriculum, but again we tend to forget it as we tend to uh, move across the curriculum. Level 1 is the lower cervical, supraclavicular, and the sternal notch nodes. The upper zone, the superior mediastinal, we divide it into the paratracheal, right and left, the prevascular, the retrotracheal, and as well as the lower paratracheal lymph nodes, the right and the left. The fifth and the sixth goes to the AP zone, where there is subaortic and the para-aortic group of lymph nodes. The carinal lymph nodes and the paraesophageal lymph nodes goes into the inferior mediastinal group of lymph nodes. So, as when we say that it's a N1 node, we need to know what exactly is the N1. N1 are usually the hilar or the interlobar nodes. In case of a segmental involvement, it's the lobar or the segmental involvement of the nodes that is known as the nodal station. And just for overview, when we say carcinoma in situ, everybody knows that T1A is that what is less than 1 centimeter. T1B is more than 1 centimeter and less than 2 centimeters. T1C is more than 2 centimeters and less than equal to 3 centimeters. Anything with an invasive component of less than or equal to 5 millimeters is known as micro invasion. It should be millimeters. The T2 descriptors involves three major things: either the involvement of the main bronchus, as you can see from this. Then T2A is more than 3 centimeters and less than or equal to 4 centimeters. T2B is more than 4 centimeters and less than equal to 5 centimeters. The T3 descriptors are again uh, predominantly based on the size, when it is more than 5 centimeters and less than equal to 7 centimeters, with the involvement of the parietal pericardium or the phrenic nerve, the involvement of the chest wall, or the second nodule in the same lobe is T3. When the size increases more than 7 centimeters, or there is an involvement of the mediastinum, there is involvement of the trachea, carina, heart, great vessels, recurrent laryngeal nerve, esophagus, vertebral body, or there is an involvement of the diaphragm, or there is a second ipsilateral nodule but in a different lobe, then it is known as a T4 lesion. Similarly, for the N1, as I said while describing the nodal stations, anything which is intrapulmonary, peribronchial, or hilar lymph node is an N1 lesion. Anything which is mediastinal, ipsilateral, and the subcarinal lesions are the N2 lesions. The contralateral hilar or the contralateral mediastinal even the scalene, whether it is ipsilateral or the contralateral, the supraclavicular contralateral lymph node is an N3 region. And when we describe M1, M1 is simply when there is a nodule which is on the opposite side, or that is a contralateral lung nodule. There is a pleural effusion which is documented cytology positive. There is a pericardial effusion that is documented cytology positive. So that's an M1A. The M1B is a single extrathoracic metastasis. The M1C can be multiple extrathoracic metastasis. So when we say extrathoracic, what are the common sites where these diseases go? Brain, bones, liver, adrenals, and kidneys. These are in the hierarchy order where they go. So just to recapitulate, anything less than 3 centimeters is a T1 lesion, which is surrounded by the lung or the visceral pleura without invasion, more proximal than the lobar bronchus, with T1A less than 2 centimeters in diameter, T1B more than 2 centimeters but less than 3 centimeters in diameter. T2 is between 3 to 7, 7 including, involving main bronchus, invading visceral pleura, or it is associated with atelectasis or obstructive pneumonia, with 3 to 5 being T2A and 5 to 7 being T2B. T3 is anything which is more than 3 centimeters, invades chest wall, diaphragm, phrenic nerve, mediastinal pleura, parietal pleura, main bronchus with less than 2 centimeters from the carina, atelectasis or obstructive pneumonia of the entire lung, and the separate tumor nodules in the same lobe. Anything that is involving mediastinum, heart, great vessels, trachea, recurrent laryngeal nerve, esophagus, vertebral body with separate tumor nodules in the different lobe is T2, T4 lesion. So N1, as we said, it's an ipsilateral peribronchial hilar. N2 is mediastinal subcarinal. N3 is again contralateral mediastinal, contralateral hilar, ipsilateral or contralateral scalene and supraclavicular. M1 is, as we discussed in the previous M1 classification. Now, this is a comparison of what was the AGCC 7th edition and what has been the AGCC 8th edition. So what has been a T1 lesion, that is T1A and T1B, was in 7th edition, that is less than 2 centimeters or 2 to 3 centimeters. Here we have hierarchy into 3 subgroups, A, B, C, that is less than 1 centimeter, 1 to 2 centimeter, 2 to 3 centimeters. The T2, which was 3 to 5 centimeters and 5 to 7 centimeters, has been a T2A, central visceral pleura, with 3 to 4 or 4 to 5. Now, this, the 3A, when we call, that is T3 and 1, that is more than 5 to 7 centimeters with a node involvement. Here, the T3 is more than 7 centimeters. So what was 2B in this? That was T2B, that is anything between 5 to 7 with a node involvement. Here, it is much smaller. The lesions have become much smaller, 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, again with a node involvement. And what was still a 2B, that is between 5 to 7 centimeters, has become upgraded to 3A. Now, ipsilateral nodule and invasion was T4. Here, the size also has been introduced because anything more than 7 has a consequences, and that has become a 3A in this classification. And that's why what was 3A in this, it was anything that is T3 and 2 or N1, that is the invasion, the satellite, or more than 7 centimeters. Now 3B, it has become in this, that is anything that is N2, size of 5 to 7 centimeters with invasion and satellite, it has become N2. Now anything that is N3, here was 3B. There was no thing such as 3C there. Now the 3C also has been introduced. So we have a prognostic significance of that also in this. And that's why when we stage lung cancer according to the old, it was 7 categories. Now we have 9 new categories with the introduction of 1A into 1, 2, 3, 3 into ABC, and 4 also into A and B. And all of these class.
Dr. Vikas, sorry to interrupt, but we are short of time, 3 minutes. So please, if you can do a bit.
Yeah. So just 2 slides more. So staging now, it stage 3, which is very important for the medical oncologist per se, also has now a 3A-B-C, which means T4N0 is stage 3A, T3-4 is N1 is stage 3A, and T1-2 and N2 is a stage 3A, and T3-4 with N2, T1 or 2 to N3 is again 3B, and any T3-4 with N3 is again N3. The investigations which we look for the staging is the bronchoscopy, PET scan, EBUS, and mediastinoscopy. And I would skip these slides for the sake of the time. We know that that's going to come. And just a quick word, what are the risk factors for occult N2? Anything that has been a central tumor, the size of the tumor, and higher SUV values on PET is there. So I would like to conclude